Hello and welcome back to the Mighty Alien One on TV. I am back here in War Thunder, and if many of you watch our channel regularly, you will notice that about a week or two ago I uploaded a video reviewing the German tank tech tree. So today I'm going to continue this by looking at the Russians. So you can see here a tier 3 T-34-57. This is probably my favourite Russian tank right now. I'm not a big fan of the Russian tanks actually. I'm so in love with the Germans that I just can't really play the Russians very well. But let's have a look at the tech tree. So the tank you start off with is the T-26 model 1939. This is, I suppose, it has no armour whatsoever to start off with. Quite a good gun though. The gun has 52mm of penetration, and let's have a look at this. If we have a look at the modifications, and has the choice between normal AP, or armor piercing high explosive with ballistic cap, if you want to have the full name, or slightly higher penetration AP, which gets 61mm of penetration at 10 meters instead of 53 with the usual rounds. So this is quite a fun starter tank compared to the Panzer II with the Germans, with the really bad penetration. But one thing I have found, the T-26 is quite easy to one-shot. One well-aimed shot just below the turret in the hull would be enough to take it out. But once you've researched this, I would recommend researching the BT-7. This is the speediest thing you will have ever seen. It's so quick. It can go, let's have a look at it, can go at 54 kilometers per hour. That's the T-26. T-26 can only go at 30. This would be speeding around the battlefield, but he thinks that's fast. Wait until you see the T-50. So the BT-7 is kind of the same story with the T-26. It's fast, it hasn't got any armour, but the gun's pretty good. It's got the same gun, I think, 45mm 20k cannon. Yep, it does have the same gun. But so once you've got this, I would recommend either going for the ZIS-30 if you prefer maybe a tank destroyer role of destroying tanks in one hit and then taking cover from long ranges, or if you would rather go on a light tank slash like fighting all up close and personal role, then I would recommend the T-50. The T-50, right, so the BT-7 54 kilometers per hour, that's pretty quick. T-50 64 kilometers per hour max speed. This thing is so quick. If we have a look at this, the T-50 is so quick. I've got my Japanese flags, of course, because Japanese. T-50 is so quick. It's small. It's reliable. It's got fast turning times, and its gun's the same as the BT-7 and the T-26. So all in all, a pretty good tank. It can take out many tanks of the same tier, if not all of them. So I would highly recommend this tank as one of the first ones you unlock, after the BT-7 obviously. But something they've just added in War Thunder in the recent patch, we can now have a look at the armour models. Let's have a look at the T-50 armour. Yep, absolutely awful. So if you can look here, if you're looking at this straight on, like dead on, you're going to be shooting at 57mm of armour. That is the 40mm of the armour, including the 52-degree armour sloping. So not very difficult to penetrate at all. You'd probably be able to get through this with ease, but do not shoot at these side plates because they're very well angled compared to the front plate. Also, don't aim at the lower glacis because that is really well armoured. I didn't notice that before. So it's only 45mm. It's 5mm more than the main hull, but it's angled at such a great angle that it's equal to 138mm of armour. Of course, the turret, you could just shoot straight at the gun, mantle it, and it will go straight through, most likely killing the loader. And if you shoot on the right, you kill the gunner, and maybe the commander if you're lucky. If I was going up against one of these, I'd find almost every tank has a certain sweet spot that if you shoot it, you're going to get an instant kill. And I would recommend shooting it straight through the driver's optic, because you're going to end up hitting the driver, the gunner, and hopefully the commander, and maybe go through to hit the fuel tank and engine slash radiator if your round has got enough penetration. Also, if you've got a side shot and don't think you can get a one-shot kill by taking out the crew, aim for the ammo. It's right here. Just aim here and you'll probably ignite the ammo and boom. So, as the T50, this is basically all you've got to know about Tier 1. The ZIS-30 is very effective against one-shotting enemy tanks because of the 57mm cannon it has. But it only has 20 rounds of ammo and a pretty long reload time compared to the T50 at least. So, if you prefer tank destroyer rolls, hanging at the back, and basically aiming for one-shot kills, then I recommend the ZIS-30. So, what to get next? Of course, if you're any sort of tank enthusiast, you'd know the T-34 would most definitely be in this game. It is known as the best medium tank during World War II, maybe equal to the Panther. But the T-34, there are so many variants in this game. You've got the T-34 1941, 1940, 1942, T-34-57, T-34-85D5T, T-34-85, and yeah, that's all they've got at the moment. All they've got. So you've got a massive selection, and the initial T-34s, yeah, they're pretty fun to play. I mean, they're good all-rounders. They got good guns, good speed, quite good armour for the tier at least, and ultimately a good all-round tank. But I find once I got to the T-34 1942, I'd be coming up against the Tier 3s. So I'd be coming up against KV-85s, Su-85s, T-34-57s, and Panzer IV-Gs, and so on and so forth. And it's nothing new. I mean, penetration obviously is enough to get through a Panzer IV, but if you're going up against KV-85, you're going to be useless unless you can get a side or a rear shot. That's why you want the T-34-57. T-34-57 is exactly the same design as the previous T-34s in terms of the build. The turret's a slightly different shape, and it's got a 57mm gun. 110mm of penetration on this, and you can see this here. This is a custom skin, by the way, so just ignore that. And the 57mm gun is absolutely brilliant against tanks. Absolutely brilliant. 110mm of penetration at 100 meters. This is ideal for taking out any sort of tank, and that's just the stock ammo. If we have a look at the modifications here, you can get even higher penetration rounds going up to 116 at 100 meters. So if you really want it, you got that as well. So it really is up to you what ammo you want to take with that. And because it might just be overkill, you might end up missing those one-shot opportunities. Exactly the same like crew layout. So yeah, the T-34-57, a beast of a tank. Now, T-28, medium tank. I didn't really like this tank very much because when you first get it, 33mm of penetration, you can't do anything with it. But then I've seen people, once they unlock this ammo, 70mm of penetration at 10 meters, 65mm penetration at 100 meters. This thing is beastie. This tank is basically invincible unless you know the sweet spot. And I will tell you where the sweet spot is. So if we have a look at it here, you want to know where the sweet spot is. If you shoot there, you're going to hit the driver, and maybe gunner / loader / tank commander. Shoot here, you hit the machine gunners. There's no real good place to get a one-shot kill on the crew. I don't think so anyway in this tank yet. So instead, shoot through this lower plate whenever you can. It will most likely hit the back plating. I think it hits the engine or something in the middle and then sprays all around to hit all this juicy ammo. Because if you shoot through here, you're almost guaranteed an ammo kill, unless you've got either really high penetration or really low penetration. So that's where I'd recommend you shoot. Or if you have a side shot, then anywhere around the middle, below the turret, you'll hit the ammo. So once you know those sweet spots, aim at those, and it doesn't seem as much of a threat anymore. From the T-28, you get to the KV-1s. Now the KV-1s are probably the second most famous Russian tanks of World War II. The heavy tanks alongside the IS and the KV2s and the KV85s and whatnot. So, the KV1s, very heavily armoured. I found that when I first started playing the KV1L11, the only things that could kill me were SU-122s and Panzer IV F2s, because that was all I was seeing, compared to the T-34 1940s and other tanks of the similar tier. So the armour really does come in handy, but the gun isn't that bad either. The only bad thing about the gun is the long reload, being at 7.9 seconds. Overall, the KV-1s are very good tanks. Just know that the KV-1 ZIS-5, even though it has a better gun, its battle rating goes up. So you see, battle rating is 4.7, when the KV-1L11's battle rating is 3.7. Now the 4.7 battle rating means that it's the same battle rating as the KV-2. So you're going to be facing a lot worse enemies, or a lot better enemies in this case. So just bear that in mind. I didn't really like that about the KV-1 ZIS-5. So next up, you have the derp cannon. That is the KV-2 with the 152mm howitzer gun. The KV-2. If you play World of Tanks, you know this is the derp meister. If you play War Thunder, you know this is the derp meister. One shot kills almost every single time. It fires anti-concrete rounds. Anti-concrete rounds at tanks. Come on. But the only downside of this tank, really slow turret rotation for one thing, and the main downside, having a 42.1 second reload speed, and that is with that's with the expert crew, or just the first level of training for the crew. The armour's pretty good frontally, but as soon as you get to the side armour, if we show here, there are massive 152mm shells right here. So if you shoot the turret right there, kaboom, basically, that's how it goes. Also, if you want to you can only see the bottom, I don't know what situation you'd be in, maybe the tank's aiming at you and reloading, you want to shoot at the side or the floor and you'll hit the ammo as well. Also, you could just go straight down here, you call the gunner and the loader, and then get your next shot to go down here, call the machine gunner and the driver. KV-2, very fun tank to play as well. Moving on to, I can't really talk much more because I haven't unlocked many, but the Su-76M is the second tank destroyer you'll be able to get in the Russian tech tree. Su-76M is kind of the same story about the ZIS-30 really. So the ZIS-30 has 6.5 second reload time. Su-76M has a 7.2 second reload time, has a better gun, has more ammo, and is more manoeuvrable. But it has absolutely no armour whatsoever and gets one-shotted very, very occasionally. I didn't really enjoy this tank, but I'm not used to playing tank destroyers that well, so it's totally up to opinion. If you want to try it out, go ahead, get it. But I wasn't very good with it. Next up, the Su-122. This is the first derpy tank you're going to get down the Russians, because before the KV-2. If we have a look at this here, this has a 122mm gun, as you could gather from the name, but has a 31.7 second reload time, so similar to the KV-2 in that respect. Now, talking about sweet spots on the tanks, the sweet spot here, right here, as you can see, if you hit it just below the optic, you hit the driver, the gunner, and the machine gunner. So you're going to go straight through 3 crew members instantly, and maybe hit the engine, radiators, or fuel tanks if you're lucky. Or, if it hits one of these crew members, it will just shatter and kill the rest of the crew. So, very much a glass cannon, I would say, with the T-30, with the Su-122. Also, if you want to get an ammo rack, right here, and if you're shooting at the back, you could probably go through the engine, to be honest, to get it. Or, yeah, that's another reason to go through. Hit the driver, gunner, machine gunner, and then the ammo. So, yeah, very much a glass cannon. If you get shot at, you're most likely going to die within the first hit you take. But also a very fun tank to play. It is derpy as hell. That's really all I can talk to you about these tanks, guys. other than the T60, I didn't really play that much, so it's not really my place. Other than a bad gun, in my opinion, bad penetration values, so not the best. Sorry about that, guys. So that's all I can really say. Other than I recommend you go down, get the T3485s, because I'm looking forward to playing those, and ultimately the T54s. Also, the IS2s and the IS3 look like a lot of fun to play. So that's all I can really talk about, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do like this video, if you want to see more of these videos, or more general gaming videos, then subscribe to us. And I'll see you next time.